President, this week we currently have the unique opportunity to move forward on promises we made to the American people last year, confirming judges and providing tax relief to hardworking Americans. And the American people sent us to Congress to complete this critical work, and we must stop at nothing to do it. And we've already taken significant steps to address both of these issues by confirming 13 judges, with 5 more this week, and passing a budget with instructions for tax reform. There's still much more that we need to do, and I stand ready to stay here until that job is done. Most people can't go home until their work is finished. Mr. President, I don't think we should either. Imagine dropping your car off at the auto mechanic, and instead of having them staying to finish the job, they leave at 3 p.m. to go home because that's convenient for their schedule. Yet you still have to pay them a full day's work. That's effectively what we've been doing here in Congress, and that needs to stop. We need to work with as much as possible to ensure that the federal judiciary is filled with judges that will uphold the Constitution and bring us closer to providing tax relief to the American people. We need to have a fully occupied, fully functioning federal judiciary to ensure that Americans' constitutional rights are upheld. In almost 10 months, we've started to address the issue of judicial vacancies by confirming 13 judges, most notably Justice Gorsuch, who has already served as a strong conservative voice on the Supreme Court. And as a fellow Westerner, I was proud to vote for such a qualified judge to serve in our nation's highest court. Beyond the vacancy we filled on the Supreme Court, there are vacancies at all levels of our federal judiciary. And we cannot forget the importance of every single court that makes up the federal system. We must prioritize confirming judges to fill these openings, especially those deemed judicial emergencies. The fact that we have so many judicial emergencies is incredibly concerning, and should be a wake-up call to all senators, especially those who are slowing down this important process. The President is continuing to send us well-qualified nominees, and Chairman Grassley has done an excellent job moving nominees through the committee process. I'm especially encouraged that this week we're confirming 5 more judges, including 4 Circuit Court judges, and this is the pace we need to keep. If that means working 24/7 and continuing confirming these constitutionalists, Mr. President, you can count me in. Confirming federal judges is a unique duty of the U.S. Senate. And we cannot allow obstructionism from the other side of the aisle to prevent us from filling vacancies throughout the country. It is clear when judges brought to the floor for a vote are confirmed by a healthy majority that the gridlock is purely political. And because of this, leadership is having to file cloture on all of these judicial nominees, and some of my colleagues across the aisle are just running the debate clock on these nominees instead of actually debating. Well, we have what's known as a 1-hour rule here in the Senate, and I think it's time to start enforcing it. Now, members are entitled to their opinions, and as a deliberative body, we should debate nominees. But if you're going to debate a nominee, I think you actually need to come down here and speak on them. You can't just hide behind your desk and run the debate clock. If you have a problem with a nominee, then you should come down to the floor. Voice your concerns. If you're not willing to do this, then you shouldn't hold this nominee hostage to an artificial clock. This is what's wrong in Washington. We should use debate time on a nominee to debate the nominee. And if there's no more debate, then we should vote on that nominee and move on to the next one. The Constitution guarantees the right to a speedy trial. As a body that confirms judges that make that constitutional right possible, we have a critical responsibility, and we need to do whatever it takes to fulfill this duty. In order to deliver swift justice throughout the country, these seats need to be filled. I'm ready and willing to work day and night. Weekends, holidays, do what Nevadans sent me to Washington to do and to accomplish. As the leader mentioned last week, we should work through the week of Thanksgiving. Hardworking Americans don't go home until their work is complete, and neither should we. That work also includes reforming our tax code, providing desperately needed relief to the middle class. Today, Chairman Brady and the Ways and Means Committee released a draft of their tax bill, which is another enormous step forward in providing meaningful tax relief to Nevadans and other hardworking Americans across this country. Middle-class tax relief is particularly critical to the residents of my home state of Nevada. Whether it's the single mother from Gardnerville who doesn't receive child support, works full-time and is simply trying to make ends meet, or the entrepreneur in Elko who's fighting hard to get a small business off the ground and wondering whether he'll ever catch a break and be able to afford to hire his first employee. I continue to hear from diligent, hardworking Nevadan families and small business owners who are struggling to cover their expenses and get ahead in life. For too many people, the American dream, previously achievable through hard work, sheer determination, and playing by the rules, feels like it's slipping away. That's in part because for too long, Nevadans and Americans across this country have faced stagnant wages and slow economic growth. Under the failed economic policies of the previous administration, we've suffered through 8 years of historically low economic growth. In fact, in those 8 years, we didn't have a single year, not a single year, in which the economy grew by 3%. As a result, wages and workers suffered. As a result, job creation suffered. And as a result, middle-class Americans like you and your neighbors suffered. We can still bear the scars of the Obama-era economic policies today. Median household incomes in Nevada are $7,000 lower today than it was 10 years ago. Nevada families are more likely to be living paycheck to paycheck than families living in nearly every other state. It's fair to say that in Nevada, at least, the recession has never really ended. To me, this situation is unacceptable. I'm doing everything in my power to right the economic wrongs that have been committed by the previous administration. Under the leadership of the new administration, however, we're starting to see our economy improve. There are positive signs everywhere. Last week, the Commerce Department announced that for the second quarter in a row, the economy had grown at least 3%. This impressive growth occurred despite hurricanes that destroyed the homes and businesses of our good friends and colleagues down in Texas and in Florida. And now, Mr. President, despite these natural disasters, 3% economic growth is possible under the leadership of President Trump and a unified Republican government. Just think about how much more we can add to this growth by passing comprehensive tax reform. And as a member of that tax writing committee, I've been working with my colleagues to craft a tax package that accomplishes 3 major goals. First, create more jobs. Second, increase wages. And finally, third, boost Americans' competitiveness worldwide. What does tax relief mean to you, the average Nevadan who works hard trying to provide a better life for his or her children and save for a secure retirement? It means cutting your taxes so that you can keep more of your hard-earned money. It means bigger child tax credit to help you confront the increasing costs of raising children. It means a simpler and fairer tax code that you yourself can understand. Lower rates for business means more jobs, higher wages, and growth in our communities, all of which will benefit you. Taken together, all these things mean that you'll have a profound increase in your take-home pay and your economic opportunities. And a recent study by the White House Council of Economic Advisors found that by reducing the corporate tax rate by 15% alone would increase household incomes by an average of $4,000. A similar study by a Boston University economist put the increase at $3,500. So I don't know about you, but I think the average American could do a lot with an additional $3,500 to $4,000 in his or her bank account. As a son of a school cook and an auto mechanic, I understand the discipline and the hard work that goes into every dollar and every paycheck. And I'm working to see that you have more of it in your back pocket. I'm confident that we'll fulfill these promises, but that will take a commitment from our colleagues to stay here and work. In addition to overhauling the tax code and confirming judges, we have many other significant legislative responsibilities to complete. And I believe that we must spend as much time as necessary, including working through the scheduled November constituent work period, to fulfill our commitment to the American people. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.